Hello and welcome to MotionRC.com. I'm your product specialist Wesley from right here at MotionRC, and today we are checking out the newest release in the RotorScale lineup. Let me show you around this model and let's see if this is one you need to put in your collection. Now, this is the all-new Apache. If you haven't seen it before, we used to have a black version of this on the website. It's still there, but now we also have this beautiful camouflage desert style paint job available here at Motion RC. So some of the setup stuff is already covered in that video, but for now, what I want to go over is all the features are of this aircraft. Now, the first thing we have to talk about as far as features is the scale details of this little helicopter. What you're going to notice when you get this out of the box is everything is painted and detailed to perfection. It has all the rivets on it. You've got the clear smoked canopy. You even have all of the antennas and things that would go around the helicopter on the aircraft to make it look just like it is. You've got your flares on the back. I mean, it's pretty neat. Your countermeasures. It is a pretty neat helicopter, and it's covered in lights. So as far as the details of it, this is one of the best looking little helicopters in this whole RotorScale line. All right, pilots, now let's talk about something that differentiates this aircraft versus most of the aircraft in the GPS line. And that would be the Lidar underneath the aircraft. Now, the Lidar is used to shoot a laser to the ground and to tell how high the aircraft is. This gives you more precise holding for your altitude, whether you're in GPS mode or in regular mode using that. So, really cool feature underneath the aircraft. It also has the optical flow sensor, just like the other aircraft, that help it with position hold over grass or anything else, so it can see that and try and stay still. But that is another added feature on this that's a little bit better than some of the other ones. Now, the first thing you need to do when you get your helicopter out of the box and are ready to take it for its first flight is charge the battery. The cool thing is everything comes in the case for this helicopter right out of the box. So you're going to get the wall adapter, you're going to get the actual charger, and then the adapter that lets you plug this into any LiPo charger and charge up your battery. And I'm actually charging this with the included charger because I don't have an XT30 adapter for my big chargers. But if you do, you can actually use this with any standard LiPo charger. Now, as far as actually charging the LiPo, once it's plugged in, you simply just slide it down from the top, and then the indicators will come on the charger telling you the voltage, and it will be counting down until you get that to 4.20 volts a cell. That will be a fully charged LiPo battery. Once you've got your battery charged up, we need to go over to our transmitter, and on the back of the transmitter, you're gonna see you need to add 4 AA batteries. They are the only thing that does not come included with the kit, so when you're purchasing it, if you need some batteries, you can also throw in some AA batteries from right here at Motion RC when you're checking out. So at this point, we have the batteries and everything, and we are ready to actually power on the model for the first time. If you turn the helicopter over upside down, you're gonna notice there is a large hole in between the main landing gear. That is where your battery is gonna go. You're gonna take your battery, and from the back side, where all the little connectors are, you're gonna slot that in from the top, and then you're going to gently bring it down. Do not force this. If you get it right, it will just key in. If it is not right, it won't go down. And then you're gonna grab the 2 black connectors on both sides of the battery and simply push that in, and it'll click in. All right, now that you have the battery installed in the helicopter and your transmitter, it's time to head outside. All right, now, before you do your first flight, when you get to the field, you need to do a compass calibration. Now, you don't have to do it every single time you go out to the same location, but anytime you're moving locations or the first time you're flying it out of the box, it's a really good idea to do this. The way we're gonna do it is we're gonna take the sticks and we're gonna go to the top and bottom corners with them. We're gonna wait for it to start flashing. Then on the back of the helicopter, you'll have a yellow flashing light. You can hold it by this radar dome on top of the mast, and you can just spin the helicopter now. And we're gonna spin it until that light changes. And now we have a flashing green light. Once that happens, we're going to take the helicopter, face it down, and we're going to spin it again until that light changes again. Just like that. I heard the helicopter go meep and tell me that it was done. And then if we were outside right now, this indicator would be a solid green light, but it is still flashing because we're indoors. And that completes that calibration. Now, the other calibration that's a good one to do, if you're experiencing a lot of drifting in non-GPS mode, using the optical flow and stuff, your gyro may need to calibrate. Now, in order to do that, we just go to the opposite corners. It's going to flash, let go, and that will calibrate the gyro in the aircraft. You want it setting nice and level when you do it, and that's as easy as it is. We're ready to go fly this thing. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you this from in the shop, but what we need to do is get our helicopter ready for flight. We're going to hold the power button on the transmitter until the transmitter turns on. Once that's powered up, we're going to take the helicopter, flip it upside down, and on the battery beside the indicators, there's a little white circle. We're going to hold that down until we hear the helicopter beep and all the lights come on. At that point, you can set the helicopter down on a flat surface where you wish to take off from, and we're going to let it sit there for about a minute until it gets GPS signal. Now, you'll know when it has GPS signal because the light on the back of the turtle deck will be flashing green, and it will turn to solid once it is time for a GPS and time to fly. You can also look at the transmitter, and in the top center of the transmitter, there's going to be 2 numbers, and that is going to tell you how many GPS satellites the helicopter can actually see at this time. The other thing we really need to talk about is your switch positions before we take off. So going from the left to the right, the top left-hand side of the transmitter has an 8 and a circle. This is figure 8 versus circle mode. The next switch over is auto and manual. In auto mode, the helicopter will use GPS to try and hold position and altitude to its best of its ability. In manual mode, GPS is disabled and the helicopter is going to use the optical sensors underneath the helicopter to try and maintain altitude. But it will still drift in that mode. So when you let go of the stick, the helicopter will continue to move until you counter that with stick input. The next switch is danger and unlock. This switch you want to have in danger mode anytime you have the helicopter powered up and you're near it moving it around. Anytime we're flying, we would like that in the unlocked position, and make sure not to hit this while in flight, because if you do, the helicopter will drop out of the air wherever it is, and it will probably break it when it hits the ground. This is an emergency switch that you do not want to use unless you absolutely have to. The final switch is going to be our mode selector switch. GPS in the middle. And then if you're trying to fly this helicopter indoors, or for some reason you can't get a GPS signal, you can always flip this switch upwards, and that is going to use your visual positioning. This will also allow you, once again, to fly without GPS. And then if you were to flip the switch all the way to the bottom position, that is your return to home. So for the sake of our first flight, what we need to actually have those switches set to, on the right-hand side, we want to have it in GPS. We want to have it in unlocked mode. We want to have it in auto. And then the 8 and 0 will just be the momentary switch that stays in the middle. Once you have your transmitter all set up, helicopter powered on, GPS signal is established, it's time to actually take this up for a flight. In order to actually initialize the helicopter, you're going to take both sticks, hold them down and to the outside for a few seconds till you see the main rotor head begin to spin. Once that's happened, you're simply going to add collective, which is also known as the throttle stick to most RC guys, and that will bring the helicopter up off the ground. Once it's up off the ground, you're going to notice this helicopter is extremely stable, and wherever you leave it, it's going to stay there in this mode. So at first, as it comes, you're going to also be in low rate right out of the box. Fly the helicopter in low rate at first. Get used to it. You need to practice with the helicopter, your orientation, and what you're doing before you go into any of the other advanced settings of this helicopter. Now, the next most important thing to learn with any RC aircraft is how to land it. And I am thankful to say this is one of the easiest things to land in the RC world. So, there are a few different ways you can do this. The first one is to manually land the helicopter. It's as simple as bringing the helicopter into a hover over wherever you'd like to land, then lowering the collective stick slowly until the helicopter touches down on the ground. Once it's on the ground, we just simply flip up and flip that danger button to off, and that will kill the main rotor. Another way you can land the helicopter, or let's say you accidentally fly it too far away and you can't tell what's going on anymore. That top right hand switch that has the GPS selector on it, you can flip to the downward position, which is called return to home. Wherever that helicopter is, it's going to climb to around 26 feet, and then it's going to fly back to wherever you took off from. I'll tell you, it has about a margin error of 3 feet or so. So just make sure wherever you take off from is a nice open area with no trees around. There is no obstacle avoidance. So although it's going to fly back to where it took off, there's a tree between you and wherever it took off, it can run into that tree. At any time, if you need to stop your return to home process, simply flip the switch back to GPS and the helicopter will abruptly stop right wherever it is. If you don't stop the return to home, the helicopter will come back, it will bring it down, it'll touch down softly, and it will kill the main rotors all on its own. It's a really cool feature, guys, that keeps a lot of people from losing these little helicopters anymore. Now, there is still one other option for how to land this helicopter. You can manually bring the helicopter over wherever you'd like it to land at. And then down on the screen, at the top right-hand corner of the remote, you can see there is a helicopter with a little landing pad underneath it. If you push that button, wherever the helicopter is, it will descend straight down and land on the ground and turn off on its own. And that is all 3 ways that you can land this RC helicopter. So, now that you know how to take off and how to fly it around, I want you to get a little experience before we do this next part. But once you're feeling comfortable, let's take the helicopter out of low rates and into high rates. This is done on the left-hand side of the screen. There is an H with a little red L beside it. All you do is simply push that button, and on the screen it will physically say high or low rate. If you want to put that into high rate, and you're going to get more bank angle limits. Now, this helicopter, you can't turn off stabilization in, so you're not going to be doing, tick-tocks and all that crazy stuff. This is a scale helicopter anyway. We don't really want to do that. But in high rates, you're going to get a lot more bank angle and you're going to get a lot more speed. With that, whenever you stop, it takes a few more feet to stop. So just be careful with this. It actually goes pretty darn fast. And if you're at full rip and you go to full stop, the helicopter is normally going to descend. So just expect that and you won't have any issues. Now, the cool thing about getting into the high rates of the helicopter is we can also talk about inverted flight modes. Now, as the helicopter comes out of the box, this is one of the few models in the RotorScale lineup. When you flip it to inverted, the controls do not flip also. So, it is like flying a regular helicopter inverted. It takes a lot of concentration and a lot of practice to get forward, backwards, left, and right when it's all backwards and inverted. But I will honestly say this is probably the best helicopter I've ever used for getting my mind to think inverted flight controls without a fully collective pitch helicopter being able to fly inverted. And like I said, the controls normally don't flip over like they do on these. Now, it makes it a whole lot easier if all the controls stay the same, but that's not good practice for what it's actually like to fly a collective pitch helicopter inverted. So I actually really like how this one is set up so far. Now, in order to actually get your helicopter to go inverted, you need to get the helicopter above 26 feet. If for some reason it won't flip over for you, go a little higher. That would be my best suggestion to you. Once you get to a good comfortable altitude, you're gonna hold the mode button on the right-hand side of the screen until you hear the beeps. Once you do, it's as simple as holding the cyclic either to the right, left, up, or down, and whatever direction you push that stick and hold it, the helicopter will flip to that position in that orientation. At that point, you can come down as low as you'd like, you can fly it around inverted as much as you'd like. It's gonna do it and not have any problems. It flies fantastic inverted. When you get done, it's as simple as just repeating the process in order to get it out of it. So climb up to 26 feet, hold the mode button, and push your cyclic whatever direction you want the helicopter to flip out of it to. So let's talk about some of the party trick features of this little helicopter now. On the top left-hand side, you do have that figure 8 or circle mode. So I will tell you, remember, no obstacle avoidance. So whatever altitude you tell it to do this at, it's gonna do it. And if there's a tree or a person in the way, it's gonna hit them. So be careful with your flying area when you're flying this. It's as simple as get the helicopter out in front of you about 30 feet, and then you can hit that button either up or down. If you hit it towards the figure 8, the helicopter will do a nice, lazy figure 8 out in front of you. If at any time you need to stop the helicopter where it is, it's as simple as touching the right-hand stick and just moving it a little bit. And you'll see the helicopter will stop and set right wherever it is. Of course, you also could push it to the down position, and then it's gonna make a nice, lazy, big circle. Once again, if you're ready to stop it, it's as simple as just touching that right-hand stick. Now, pilots, if you're interested in actual calibrations of this helicopter, I've already done all the calibration settings on the black version of this, so go back and check out that video. But for now, let's head out to the local ball field and let's take this little helicopter for a flight. Well, all right, pilots, now that we've gone over everything at the bench, it's time to actually take it up for a quick little flight. I'm gonna stay kind of quiet in this so you can actually hear the helicopter, but let's do this. It's all armed up. We have satellites. It's in GPS mode. I'm gonna hit it to unlock. All we have to do is hold the sticks down into the outside to start the rotor blade, then advance the collector to take off. Let's do this. We'll put it in high rate, and here we go. And once again, this thing is extremely stable, as you can see, one-handed here. It's that easy. Now, let's say we get done flying. I can always flip this button right here for return to home. And I'm going to let this thing come in and land now. Boom, just like that. Well, guys, if you're interested in this new thing, it is available right here at motionrc.com at the time of releasing this video. The little guy is beautiful. I love the desert camo. It looks pretty good out here in the desert on this, but if you're interested in it, they're available here at motionrc.com. And as always, whether it's air, land, or sea, you can get it right here at Motion RC. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.